Welcome, sisters. I am so honored and excited to have all of you incredible women on my show today. So, thank you for being my guest this evening. And I just want to say, each of you have such a bright, beautiful light and are true gifts to experience. And you all have had such a huge and have a huge effect and impact on your communities and on the world. And as a singer myself and a spiritual leader, I am inspired by your compositions, your voices, your spiritual leadership, and your ability to lift the hearts and souls of those that are fortunate enough to be in your presence. So this is such an honor for me to have you here today. And some of you I know well, and others I don't know so well. And so I see this as a great opportunity to connect with each of you and for all of you to connect with each other, because I know there are a lot of good, close friends in this group. And also for people tuning in to get to know you all better on a personal level and in this unique way. So I think this Sister Schmooze was an awesome idea. And it was actually Lori's idea in the beginning to have this group come on. And it's just going to be so much fun. And we're going to just reflect. We're going to talk about life. We're going to be together as we empower and support and raise each other up. And in this short time that we have, I'm going to introduce you all, or you're going to introduce yourselves, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we're just going to create room for all of you to speak and share, and so people can really get to know you. So, welcome. I would like to first interview Joni. Joni Leeds. Hi.
Hi, what's
Hi.
up?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's up? How's life? How's like life in COVID times?
Life in COVID, it's really interesting. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I was really excited when I got your email. And it's so wonderful being with all these ladies. I know it's really, really fun. And yeah, it's been weird, but it's been really productive. Changed a tire on a flat tire today, so that was a new skill other than bread baking and other random things that I've learned over this pandemic period. But I released a new album back in April. And speaking of ladies, and it's all about female empowerment and gender equality and lifting each other up. And that's in the children's genre. And it's been really lovely. I've been doing a bunch of music festivals surrounding the release, and All the Ladies Music Festival 1, and then I did All the Ladies Music Festival 2 last week, which was all about the centennial suffrage celebration, and it was
I saw
great.
that. That was awesome.
Yay! I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah, no, we first actually first knew of you when I was at the SLBC conference, the Song Leader Bootcamp conference, and I saw you there and I heard you and I was like, who is she? She's this great, this dynamic, talented woman. And so then I just, yeah, I said to myself, I'm gonna have to get to know her at some point. And the work that you do with children is so special. And I see that you have such a gift with working with kids.
Thank you. I love working with kids, and I've been doing a lot of Jewish music, and I work in some nursery schools during the year, and I hope to continue that work. Although this upcoming school year, as we can all attest to, it's going to be pretty brutal. I don't really know what it's going to be, but I am hoping to do and continue my work in the nursery schools teaching music, and then of course performances across the country. I'm hoping that we can continue keeping each other safe and doing more virtual concerts. And I do work within the Jewish world. I do also secular work, so kind of I dip in and out of these conferences a little bit.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up. Just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and I was born and raised there. Then I went to Syracuse University, and I was a musical theater major. And I took some music industry classes, and I started writing music when I was in college. And most of the songs that I wrote were about like heartbreak and, just angst. And then I moved to New York City like the day after graduation, and I started bartending at the famous Greenwich Village bar, The Bitter End. Yeah, Bitter End. And a couple of us have played there. And then from there, I just kind of worked the club circuit. I played at all the nightclubs and had numerous day jobs during the day, just doing like the most random things. I've done like real estate, and I've worked in clothing manufacturer, like factories, and weird. I've worked at Epic Records and Miramax Films for the Weinstein brothers.
Wow.
And yeah, and among a million other day jobs. And then I got a job at Gymboree playing music, where I started to take music and have that be my day job and sing for babies. And then I started writing kids' music. And 9 albums later, uh, that's kind of what I do. And I'm still doing it, and I love it, and I hope to continue doing it. The music industry, as we all know and can attest to, for those of you that have a congregation in your cantors, I feel like for the most part you're pretty safe. But for the rest of us that are full-time musicians, it's a little tricky, and we're trying to navigate this new normal, and just hope to remain safe and keep each other safe during all of this crazy time, and send out good positive messages, especially during this politically challenged time as well. So
Yeah. Was this a big learning curve for you for the with the tech end?
I have been really enjoying it because I'm really type A, so I love learning. And I learned how to use a green screen, which of course
Yes.
I have behind me. And I just downloaded Final Cut Pro. I've been using GarageBand and iMovie for most of my editing, but I'm kind of stepping it up a notch and, taking it to the next level. We've all invested, I'm sure. I see everyone's little microphones. I have this little USB mic, but I am getting a fancy mic, and I have an interface now. So, we're all trying to work on our work on it, and I don't know. It's been crazy. It's been a learning curve, but I enjoy learning
Yeah.
and hope to learn more. I want to learn how to use Pro Tools. That's kind of my next thing.
Same with me. I want to learn how to do that too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us. So one last question I have for you. So who inspires you, or who has been such an inspiration to you in your life and for your music and your songwriting?
Oh, wow. I would say like all of the kids that I teach have been really inspiring to me. I have a 5-year-old, and she keeps me really busy, so
Her
I
name?
want to say she's really inspiring as well. However, I feel like my time is limited for creativity when she's in my midst. So I just it's challenging. I know all of us that have kids, it's a big juggling act, but yeah, but as far as my new album and the songs that I wrote for all the ladies, it's really, Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been a major inspiration for me. And so I have a song on the album called RBG. And I was lucky enough to work with some really wonderful artists on that album, like Lisa Loeb and Lucy Kalantari, who was my producer. And all of these women, including all of the women that are in front of me right now, have all just been so inspiring to me. So, yeah.
Cool. And I actually heard that song and I love it. It's
Oh, thank you.
such an awesome song. Yeah. So
Yeah.
congratulations on the
Thank you
new.
so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. And if anybody else wants to ask Joni anything before we move on, we're good. Okay. Well, thank you, Joni.
Thank you, Talia.
Okay, moving on
I'm muting myself.
to, to the Scholl sisters. There's a trio of three beautiful women on here that name themselves the Scholl sisters. And I actually first learned about them on Facebook. I was just scrolling through my feed and I clicked on the video of them doing some gorgeous, gorgeous harmonies and beautiful songs that were coming out of them, like three angels singing together. I was hooked immediately, and I think I probably replayed 3, 4, or 5 times before moving on. And definitely really want to see you guys live whenever possible, whenever that day is. But I wanted to get to know you guys better. I know you a little bit, but not so well. And so I wanted to now open it up to maybe Lori. Lori, would you like to start and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more
Sure,
about you and your group.
of course. So thanks for having me on your show as well. Talia and I actually just got to know each other during this pandemic. So I feel like it's been one of those blessings throughout this period is we've had opportunities to get to know people in kind of different ways. We really did connect just in the last few months. So it's awesome to be here with you. So yeah, the Schul sisters. First of all, I mean, everyone that's on this call, I just adore, and I'm inspired by all of you. And so Rachel Brooke and Rachel Goldman are two. I mean, you said the word like angels. They really have been two angels in my life, in my life on so many levels. And we kind of stumbled upon each other. We actually all met, I think, through Neshama. We're all degrees of Neshama Karlbach, right? And so we met, and Neshama really wanted Rachel and Goldman and I to meet, so we met at a convention, Rachel Brooke, and I met, I think it was, many of us were recording a song for Neshama's last album. I think most of us were here, actually. So we all kind of met indirectly through her, and then we were at SLBC at the Song Leader Boot Camp that Talya, you mentioned earlier, and Rachel Goldman had approached Rachel Brooke and I with a song, a beautiful song, The Price of a Woman, and we sat and just sang together, and it was really just our voices, our spirits, our souls, everything kind of aligned in this moment, and it was like this very organic start to this group. It started with kind of a, my God, I love like being with you and singing with you and sharing with you, right? I mean, it's just
a shared moment in the hallway.
Yeah, so we just sat there and sang together and said like, we should do this more often. And then we developed this this Schul Sisters group that was supposed to open. We were supposed to open at Park Avenue Synagogue at Rachel Brooks' congregation. Several months ago, right when this pandemic was surfacing. So we are yet to really have a full live concert performance together. But we have stayed so connected. And it's just been such a light in my life to have, to really have everybody who's here on this call, and to have the two of them and have just this constant collaboration going on between the three of us.
And you guys are all in different parts of the country, right? You're in Chicago.
Yes, I'm Chicago. Rachel Goldman is outside of LA, and Rachel Brooke is in New York. So it's been something really special. Even when we were, rehearsing, we were flying just coast to coast, literally for months. Even you can imagine even the coordinating the flights and the Zooms and the I mean, it was a lot of effort, and like the most beautiful effort.
A lot of traveling.
A lot of traveling.
Because we Zoomed together.
Yeah.
Zoom was a thing because COVID hadn't happened yet.
And right.
Rachel Goldman being like, "Can we get on a Zoom?" I was like, sure. I know what Skype is, but what's a Zoom? And that was like all of our collaborations, and then flights across the country for months, and then April 2nd was supposed to be our concert, but it's actually, weirdly enough, I don't know how. I think a lot of people on this call are like have been experiencing the same thing. As you just start to think outside of the dimensions you're used to in terms of what it means to connect with each other and to collaborate with each other. And like for Schul Sisters, we've actually had like some incredible moments of creation together over this time. I think one of the beautiful things about the group is the minute, once everything went into lockdown by the middle of March, and I remember the calls, and we were like, okay, we might be postponing this concert. There's a possibility that this won't happen in 2 weeks. And then having to make the call of like, we're not doing this. This isn't going to happen. And I remember Rachel and Laurie and I were on a call, and it was like, without missing a beat, the immediate response was like, no problem, we got this. Whenever this happens, we've got this. Like, okay, so what's next? So what are we going to do? We are not reliant on this concert. Like, we are growing, we are creating together, and that's what matters, and that's not going to end just because this isn't happening. And I think that kind of attitude and that kind of like hopefulness and just kind of shared purpose has really been carrying us through.
Yeah, and it's been nice for us to just like pull out the music occasionally from our show, and just we spent, I want to say, the better part of a year, but probably even longer. We spent probably a year and a half putting together this show that was tailor-made for to showcase the women's voices in the cantorate, and specifically, you know, the collaboration between us kind of has its own entity in of itself, because, you know, the things that happen when the three of us have conversations, when we bounce ideas off of each other, they turn into these songs, into these arrangements, into these ideas that it's just when the three of us are together, there's some sort of like fourth entity that's created. And I don't know, there's something weird about when we first sang together. We were like, it blended like we had been singing together for a very, very long time. Like our voices had met on like a different plane somewhere.
And it was happenstance, because I honestly, like, looking at the women on this call, it was like chance that it was the three of us, because we were at SLBC, and I remember it was like a big group of people were hanging out between sessions, and I just, like, you know, I see Lori and I see Rachel, I'm like, do you guys want to go sing something? Like, what else?
We snuck off into a hallway, and like we literally snuck off into a hallway at the J, the big the big in St. Louis, and I think at one point we were like in a locker room at a gym with our feet in the hot tub just singing, and it was you know, it was wonderful. It was so great. You know, when you hear a good song, and you're gonna be like, listen, here's the music, let's sing through it. What do we like?
Also, can I just point out, because Naomi texted, what names did you guys come up with? And
what names?
Oh my God, none for like 6 months.
It was 6 months of just pain.
I remember you guys kept sending them around.
We had like a text trail of most people, many people on this call trying to figure out a name for all of us. So
it came down to Schul Sisters or Soul Schwesters.
I still wanted the Holy Trinity, but you know, it was by another denomination. We had probably like 7-8 months of trying to figure out, and then continuously getting opinions of our friends, and never once did anything line up until Schul Sisters, and then we're like, okay, works for me.
Well, that makes sense, because all three of you are cantors, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And
I am studying to be a cantor.
Lori's in the Sika program.
Cantor, but yes, I'm in the Cantor's Assembly Sika program, I guess.
We love that Lori's studying, because we love helping her with her homework.
They are my study group. That is true. Yes.
Good professional development.
well, and I think Abby's also in that, right, as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm recently in it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Excited. So let me ask you guys, as cantors, how do you help support your communities during this time? How do you do that? Social
by learning production, and by having a crash course in low budget production in like 2 months, and then implementing it. I feel like I'm utilizing skills that I had not had before this. So I think that like just learning as much as I possibly can in order to, you know, you spend 7, 8, 10 hours on a spreadsheet for High Holy Days just to save some money, save a few hours in filming, because everybody's so tight for budget, and trying to use all of our experience in being in shows and being in concerts and applying that to High Holy Days is it's a different skill set than you would expect for a cantor to ever use, but making it work. And I think all of us collectively are learning, probably at a faster pace than we want to, but we're all hanging in there and keeping each other company in it as well.
Yeah. I know in my community, we've done a lot of just listening to what our community wants. I think when this first surfaced, you know, my rabbi and I and our board were just trying to come up with like, you know, what kind of programming can we do? What kind of weekly this and that? And now we've kind of gone into this other space where I think what we're doing right now is just, everything is really organic. We're not doing a lot of like big programming. We're just doing a lot of listening, and even with our High Holy Days, like we did a lot of focus groups to see like what people want. And I think that's been really helpful. It's been a really amazing time to just, you know, give some, you know, what we'd always like to do really is just give agency to our community and let them have, you know, and give them more of a voice. And I think we've been realizing that more now that we, you know, I'm in my 4th year at my Schul, and you know, we just always had like our programming, and now it's like we're starting to do things we never thought we would do before. You know, we didn't really necessarily know everything that people wanted. And so that's been, really key for us. It's just conversations.
Do you see that more people are actually participating over Zoom and online than in person? Like, do you find that the attendance
Yeah.
is higher with your synagogues?
I do. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, there's a much more consistent rate of people attending, and it's become like a different. I don't want to say cohort, but like it's another community. It's been just a different form of a community, but people don't have to go anywhere, and so people will tune in from all over, and their parents and people who moved away. So actually, like, it's got its silver linings. It definitely has its silver linings.
It's true. Like for Seder this year, like I had family that I from all over the Seder because they could be here some way, right? So it's definitely there are silver linings in all of this. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Is there anything else?
We're so happy for Talia. Thank you for getting us all together.
Oh, this is so much fun. Love it. So thank you. All right, Joanna Dulkin, Cantor Joanna Dulkin. How are you? Where are you? I don't see your screen popping up in my.
I don't know.
There you are.
Yes.
Hi.
I'm spotlit. It's so exciting.
How are you?
Practice in my community. We actually make people practice because this is what happens when it's your turn to read Torah and we say, okay, now you're going to get really big. And they're like, ah, so it's now it's happened to me.
Aw. Well, how are you? Tell me about you. I don't know you. I don't know you that well, so I'd love to learn.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Talya. And so I am a cantor. I currently serve a conservative congregation in Minnetonka, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. And this is my fourth year. This is my fourth high holidays. I've been a cantor for 17 years.
Wow.
And I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area. And I grew up, addicted to theater, and that was my life basically. And I always did Jewish stuff. I was in the junior choir in my home congregation growing up. And some of my dear friends from Hebrew school are still my dear friends today.
Yeah.
And it was a summer at Kutz Camp when I was a rising senior in high school that I discovered what the guitar was. I'd played the piano for about 12 years. And I realized that the guitar was kind of where it was at. So I came home that summer. I went into my room. I didn't leave till I could play every single song from camp. And I became a song leader, and that was my way in. And back in those days, song leaders did not become cantors. They were two very separate worlds. And so, but here I am. I'm a cantor. And back in the day when I was at school at JTS, we had to learn piano. Well, I passed out of that because I knew how to play the piano. Now everyone has to learn to play the guitar at JTS.
Oh, wow.
So things have changed.
Mhm.
And I'm really, I love what I do. I feel like it's the best job ever. I know the other cantors on this call probably feel the same way. It's really an amazing calling. And just listening to all of these amazing women on this call, I found myself nodding a lot with the various stops on people's journeys. I also taught little babies and kids when I was a freelance musician in New York City and the Bay Area and California. I also taught babies. All sorts of crazy stuff that happened on this journey. But it's just, I cannot imagine doing anything else. I get to do everything I love almost every day, except be on Zoom. I love being on Zoom with you, but.
Oh. Yes, I know. We need to be in person soon. Yes.
I mean,
so you live in Minnesota, which has had a lot of division and pain in recent months. It's been a pretty hot center of all the bad stuff going on. So I just want to hear from you as a spiritual leader. How do you feel called to respond to something like, to what's going on?
Yeah. So I think what's fascinating is that George Floyd was murdered about less than 10 miles from my house. And yet that's far. right? I live in the suburbs. And yet I feel like that particular moment could have been 10 miles from any of our homes. And the fact that we're sort of in the middle of it creates, I guess, an opportunity for us to be called to task. And I for sure, as a white passing cisgender, human being doing Jewish work, was called to task in some really productive and amazing ways by my members of color. I think that there's a lot of work to do in our local community, just around the issues of what does it mean to call ourselves Jewish people, and how do we really, when we say the Jewish people, right, to understand that that is a much more inclusive term than perhaps what we may have grown up with, and that there's no us and them, it's all us. And one of my colleagues that I am fortunate to work with is the current president of the Minnesota Rabbinical Association. And he's been really involved with a lot of the initiatives coming down from our governor and our local government, just to start to really imagine what it could look like here, to start to move and take steps towards really radical steps towards racial equality. And then meanwhile, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And meanwhile, there are certain spiritual leaders who are pushing to open. And meanwhile, one of our longtime employees at our synagogue who had just retired was hospitalized very early on and was on a ventilator for 5 weeks. And so all of it hit so close to home so quickly that I was really resonating with what Lori was saying about her congregation, that really it's like we are called upon in this moment to just stop and listen and really witness the truth of people, right? And it's hard because we're behind these screens, often to really do that. But I think we are called upon in this moment, right, to do that radical listening and radically empathize with one another, and maybe try to see if there's something we can do in our own little world, to try to improve.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And what about your family? How's your family doing? Who's in your family? Tell me a little bit about
who are the people in my family? So I live with 3 men, one of whom I'm married to, and 2 of whom I gave birth to. They're all very large at this point. They're just taller than me. I have 2 teenage sons. My husband is a professor at St. Olaf University, which you may know from the Golden Girls, but she's actually, so it's actually a college. It's actually a really great college in Northfield, Minnesota, and they've been starting classes online. So my husband's a rabbi / academic, so he's been very busy. He also has been really having fun teaching a class during the pandemic called Midrash and Mixology, where he mixes a drink and talks about it and then tells a story from the Midrash. So that's been really fun.
That's fun.
And my 2 kids, one is entering his senior year in high school and one's entering 9th grade. And then we have 2 dogs who are super happy that we're home all the time. And they're getting very spoiled.
Happy National Dogs Day.
Thank you. Thanks and to all those who are celebrating.
I wish I was too. One day. Thank you so much. It was very nice to get to know you a little bit.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean,
Abby. Where's Abby? Hi, Abby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's so nice to meet you face to face.
I know. I mean, I've seen you at the SLBC conference from afar, but we never talked, and it's so nice to see your face.
I know. Thank you so much for doing this and for inviting us and me to this wonderful program you've created, this community you've created.
Well, thank you. It's such a great way to connect.
Yes.
With our fellow sisters. So thank you for being on. So tell me a little bit about you. I want to hear about.
Yeah, so my name's Abby. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa, which does exist. It's one of those little states over there. And I grew up in a small community. So it was a big transformative childhood of being probably like one of two Jews, and one of them was maybe my brother growing up in the school. And I really felt connected to Judaism in a way where I didn't realize there were big synagogues or big communities out there. And I felt like I knew my voice mattered. After college, and I moved off to St. Louis, and that's pretty much where I got connected with Rick Recht and that wonderful community that he's now broadened to everyone. And I really started teaching and finding my voice as a spiritual leader to a point where I was overfilled that I needed to move on. And I actually moved to Israel. So I quit my jobs. I was a teacher, and I moved to Israel and met this cute rabbi named Rabbi Feivel Strauss, which is my husband. And we got married, and we then moved. We feel like we're kind of on shlichut, not necessarily on purpose, but we're always feel our home is Israel. He lived there. He's Israeli American, and we've lived in Houston. We've moved around, and we're just really. I'm really blessed to be called to becoming more and closer to my cantorate, which is something that's probably always been my calling, but now it's coming together.
That's great. And so I see that you had a big move during this pandemic time.
Yes, life is insane. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it just kind of all came together during COVID, which I did not know was possible. And I do think that God works in mysterious ways. And yeah, we've moved. We're now in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And yes, you'll have to visit. I know, right? I'm ready.
Winter, although we can't really travel. So.
Yes, please. And but if you can, and I'm at this wonderful place called Temple Judea, a wonderful synagogue that does remind me of my home growing up. Similar name, and also just it's a smaller community yet large in spirituality and connection, which I'm really drawn to. And I have yet to see, which, by the way, moving during a pandemic, who would have thought? You just see people like this. We get to know, and you make it happen. And I feel like I'm going to meet some of my congregants, and the first thing we're going to do is just hug and embrace, because we've already know each other. But so that's been the craziest part, really, is that I'm in a new place, and I have to judge from the cameras or the empty sanctuary or what I've heard all online. So it's interesting.
And how's your family adjusting? How's everybody else doing?
Yeah, they're good. I mean, the good news is since it was COVID anyway, we were at home. I mean, we were just crazy family time. And like you said, they're blessings. It was such a blessing. This work can really consume you. I mean, it's beautiful that we can share and we can uplift others, but it can also hollow you out. It can also take. And one thing that was just so amazing during this time was a reconnection with my family and being with my family. So we really moved, and we embraced I have a baby. I have a little 1.5-year-old, and we embraced just our time, and we embraced the change, but we embraced it with our hearts open. And when you're next to a beach, I know a lot of us are near a beach, thank God, or lakes or bodies of water. We'll go there. You feel God's presence. I mean, I know all our Psalms were written because of the crash of the waters and the changing, and you feel it. And I think it's been such a detox for our family to be close to God and close to, I know my girlfriends will make fun of me, but I do feel like this has been a spiritual transformation for us all. And therefore they've been taking it in stride, and they're doing great. So I will speak for them, because I know they are, and I'm very lucky they're young enough. They're under 8. So it's, you have young kids too, right? You have a beautiful young family.
Yes. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So it's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of balance, right? Being a mommy, a working mommy, and having little ones. And it's crazy.
It's insane, but it also makes you realize that you can do it. I mean, especially you're in 2, you haven't seen the light yet. Wait until your youngest hits 6. I think that's when you feel it, by the way. So you're almost there. Yeah.
So your experience with moving and not being able to hug people or meet people in person, that must be such an interesting way of coming into a new community and being distant right away.
You're right. And I think it's just what you're doing is you're opening up a platform to connect. And in some ways, oddly, if you can't be in person, and the fact that my face is right here and your face is right there, I can get closer in many ways to people that, at shul, where you're like, oh, I think I saw you. You sit in the back corner and you always run off right after Kaddish, So in many ways, I've been able to get closer face to face, and they've been able to get to know me better. But yeah, no, it's definitely been a challenge, and I cannot wait. And I know it will happen, but I cannot wait till we can be together. I mean, it's needed.
But yeah, the silver lining, one of the silver linings for me has been connecting with so many old friends and just checking in with people and saying, how are you? Like people that I never thought I would ever talk to again from high school, or just teachers of mine that reached out and how's life? How is your family holding up? Just, it's been such a reconnection for me through Zoom and through Facebook and social media with so many people in my life. So that's been a positive.
No, that's amazing. And we do that too. Like you realize how much that's what you miss. That's your necessity. I know we miss some of the social actions, like going out to grocery shopping or this or that, but really we miss the people. We miss holding hands, visiting our friends. And I'm glad you're able to connect. And I think even on the sisters on this call, I mean, it's just, this is what I needed. I mean, we need to be together, and we need to continue to show each other strength through showing up and knowing that we're there, even if we can't touch each other, hold each other, or whatever we normally sing together, all those things. So
amen, sister. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to Natalie Young.
Hi, Talya.
Hi, welcome to the show.
So grateful to be here with you and all of these beautiful soul sisters of mine. Just crazy to be experiencing this kind of connection. I am grateful for the silver linings of modern technology that enable us to actually see each other when we speak. Just seeing all the innovative ways that people are reaching out and sharing during this time. Been enjoying all of the beautiful music that people are putting out and all of the creative energy that is bringing about new music and new creations and innovations and collaborations. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yes. So I agree. It's been really cool to see so much art coming out of all of this virtual art, So tell us about you a little bit. So your background, where did you grow up? I know you live in California, right? And
I grew up in LA, originally from Pacific Palisades on the coast near the ocean, which was wonderful. And I ended up going to UC Santa Cruz for school and studied music there. And have always been inspired by Jewish music. Grew up singing with my cantor at my synagogue, a Reconstructionist congregation in LA. And I told myself I would never move back to Los Angeles, which I think for many of us, we can understand not wanting to go back home. And
Hey.
but where did I end up after college was Los Angeles, working at my home synagogue, which is how I became a song leader and a cantor. So, someone said God works in mysterious ways, and it's amazing how one door opens another door, and all of the people that kind of guide you along the way. And I will say, Joanna, you were such an inspiration to me. When I was at UC Santa Cruz, I went on a weekend retreat. It was like an eco-Zionism retreat, and we were at Camp Swig, and you were song leading, and you opened up my eyes to this whole new world of Jewish music. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I taught myself guitar in college, and much like Joanna, we kind of joke every time we see each other how parallel our lives are. But I grew up playing piano as well, and it wasn't until college that I kind of discovered the amazing doors that the guitar opened up. So I ended up getting a job as a song leader at Camp Tawanga, and I had applied just to be a counselor, and they saw I was a music major and asked me to audition for the song leading gig, which I got. And I was like, oh God, I don't know anything. So I learned a huge stack of Jewish music, and then I ended up working for the Bureau of Jewish Education in LA when I got back from college. And that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. When I was at Brandeis Collegiate Institute, Hebrew Union College came and did their spiel looking for students. And I said, this is exactly what I want to study. It's the intersection of Judaism and working with people and music, all of the things that I was so passionate about. And I am so grateful for what the cantorate has brought into my life. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to bring my own creativity into my cantorate and serving my community.
And I have to say, your songs are so beautiful and so inspiring. And whenever I put your CDs on or your songs over Sonos in my house, my kids like go into this kind of mellow state. It just kind of, it's like very calming and spiritual and full of like love and warmth. And my kids really pick up on the energy in your music. And I have to say, it's so nice to be playing your songs. All of your songs, but and I just wanted to let you know that my kids really react to your beautiful music too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I just want to share that most recently I released my album Soul Spark, and a big part of what fills me is collaborating and making music with other people. And I know that so many of us can attest to the energy that's created when you are in the same room and harmonizing. We're really creating that sacred space. And this album Soul Spark was all about bringing in my friends to add their voices and instrumentation. And every time one of my songs from that album comes on, I am back in the studio, smushed in shoulder to shoulder with my girlfriends.
Pouring buckets outside.
It is. Yes. Rachel was on that album, and just what a gift it is to be inspired by everybody who's here today, and the gifts that you have added to the world of Jewish music. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Naomi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
I have to blow our cover and say one of the best parts about this is our live commentary that's happening on the slide. You're going to get a lot of texts after you get off of this interview, Talia, and you're going to lose your mind.
I should be paying attention at the same time.
No, you're great. You're great. I just wish somebody were filming you as you read through this when the show ends.
Oh, we could do that a little. We could watch my facial expressions right at the end if you want.
We actually did that with Rachel Goldman, Beth Stiles, and I. I mean, we can talk about Sisters Count, but
yeah, I want to hear all about that.
Beth Stiles and I literally watched Rachel listen to and watch the video for the first time, and she was like her. Oh. Shall I screen share and show some of those pictures, Rachel?
Album?
She was bawling, and then she was laughing. I mean, it was like literally, it was choice. But.
Awesome. Do you want to, since you mentioned Sisters Count, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, so first of all, I just want to say, like, I love hearing everybody's stories, and I feel like these are my kin. You know, this is like so many things that everyone has said has resonated with me, whether it was like Joni, like starting on Bleecker Street and, you know, rocking out on, you know, in the old days of New York City, you know, and starting really not from the Jewish music path, but starting from, you know, original whatever music, and, you know, Joanna, like playing piano, and so many of us like playing piano and not really knowing the guitar, and then Natalie like having to pick up a guitar for, I lied about my first song leading gig. Like I was like, yeah, sure, I've done this before. No, had never. It was at Temple Emmanuel, and I basically like would sit with the the cantor there at that time was Bruce Rubin, who was the cantorial head of the school at HEC, right? And so he was the cantor there, and he'd be like, "Yeah, do you know this version?" I'm like, and there was no iPhones at that point, so he was like, "Yeah, do you know this version of Baruch?" And named some composer. I don't know who it is. I'm like, yeah, I think I do. Just sing it for me one time, and then I would literally like write out the solfege, try to like figure it out, and then call a friend of mine who was like a nifty song leader, and they had a nifty song leading book, but they had no notation at that point. So I'm like, do you know the melody to this? And it was like totally, for every service was learning a bunch of like songs that I had no clue. And so I basically learned I learned on the street. I learned in the, I learned in the streets of song leading. But Sisters Count was, so I'm resonating with so many of you.
I love that. Streets of song.
The streets of song. Like Beth Styles is here. Okay, but this is perfect timing. So I just want to say again, like Talya, I love that you're doing this show. This has been my passion, is to elevate and amplify voices of women for many, many years now. And I'm so thrilled that you're doing this and doing this show in particular. And I know we had an opportunity to collaborate together for your community.
You were so loved and well received. Like it was such a gift that you
that's
came
great to hear.
Yeah.
So much fun to connect with you and to connect with your community. They were so sweet. And also connection with Song Leader Bootcamp with so many of these folks too. I mean, I think the theme I'm hearing here is that we are all looking for opportunities to not just like play in a vacuum. And I think that is part of the feminist model, is that we need each other to support. We enjoy collaboration. We're not elbows out to get to the top, at least the people on this call are not. And we know that there's plenty of space in this field for all of us. And it's not, and we refuse to support the idea that there's a token slot for women. And so we need to compete with each other to get that slot. The field can be expansive, and just like, a lot of people are making pledges to not participate, men I know that are taking pledges not to participate in any panels with all men. We can and should be doing the same thing. I know Rachel Goldman, I interviewed you on one of my Jewish Rock Radio, Jewish Women Rock shows about that issue in particular. And she's been a real leader in breaking down some of those gender barriers to recording and sharing the music out there. So you can always listen to that show interview archived on Jewish Rock Radio.
I think it's so cool that you started Jewish Rock Radio.
Well, I didn't start Jewish Rock Radio.
For the women though, like.
But I founded a show called Jewish Women Rock. And so I just I'm constantly all I want to do is just find more women that are doing incredible things with Jewish music. So back to Sisters Count, basically when COVID hit and the pandemic hit, and I don't know if some of you were on that Zoom call, or what it was, when there was like a WhatsApp chain that was happening, and then we were like, we need to get on Zoom and see each other. And of course there was wine, and we basically got on this thing and started chatting with each other. And I felt so grounded. I didn't realize how flailing I was. I also had COVID at that point, and I was like terrified to tell anybody. And I came out to everybody on that call, and it was like, oh, thank God they're my sisters. They're like, okay, all right. There's like a little buoy in the midst of this sea of unknown that I felt myself grabbing hold to, and helping me ground. And it profoundly impacted me. Did you hear that Chicago accent, by the way? That was really heavy, impacted. Sometimes it comes out. It definitely impacted me. And I ended up texting the group that we were on Zoom with, and was just looking for, Joni and I talked a lot about this, having small children in this pandemic. I have a toddler, and I could not it was like all of a sudden I went from having her in daycare full time to being sick and having to take care of her without any break. And also, I'm not, I don't have, I'm like a hybrid. I have a 2/3 time job at Lab Chill, and then I gig for the rest of my life. And I could not get my work done, and the gigs disappeared, and I couldn't even promote myself. I couldn't do anything. And I felt like I can't do anything right. And I think there are feminist like tropes flailing around that as well too. And I said, well, what can I do in this space? What I know what I know how to do, which is I can bring people together. I might not be able to go record an album or like rebrand myself and market myself for gigs in this pandemic right now. I can't do it. And Talia, you and I talked about this as well too. But what I can do is I can do some social media, and I can promote other people, and I can pull people together. And so I put the call out to a small group of women. I'm thinking of doing this Omer thing. What do you think about it? Like maybe, I came up with the name Sisters Count. Do you like this? Would you take on some of these days? I know Abby, some in the shop, like there were a few people who like just stepped in immediately and said, yes, we will do this with you. And then from there, it just like ballooned, and so much so that I actually had a couple people I didn't have space to give them a day. And there was no intention whatsoever for it to be exclusive. It should be as many voices as possible. I was just terrified that nobody would sign up. So, and I didn't want to pull slots from people at that point. So, but we did. We counted the Omer. Each person together had like basically a 45-second kavanah or intention, and beautiful. I want to give Joanna Delkin the award for like best throwback songs that connected to the Sphirot of the Omer. I think you did Eternal Flame for one of them. It was pretty awesome. But everybody contributed a piece of either their own music or music that just connected to the idea for the day. And in thinking about what we were going to do next or what was going to happen, a bunch of us got on a Zoom call, and Aviva Chernik just started humming. She just like basically threw up, like she literally vomited this chant out of the blue. And she just said, I want to say something. And then she's like, I count you, in her Aviva voice, like, I count, you count, she counts, they count, we count too. And we are like, wow, what just happened? And Beth and I basically, Beth Stiles and I were like, yeah, this can happen. We're gonna do something. And so immediately a small group of us started working on a song. There were a couple writers, Shoshana Jedwab, myself, Aviva. Beth like took Aviva's thing and arranged it and built out a bridge and beautiful words. And it was so collaborative. And then I think it was did every person on this thing contribute? No, Joni, were and Joni, I want to honor, because Joni, didn't you say like, I can't do this right now? Like, right? Like, and that's also okay. It's like in this space, we have to saying no is saying yes to something else. Saying yes is saying no to something else. And Joni was doing a huge service to all of us, like putting out these videos about tutorials and different kinds of ways to create your own videos, and putting out strong messaging around paying artists in this time and not asking us to do things for free. And so everybody has a role to play in these moments. And it was gorgeous work. People did incredible work, this is the space that I love to be in more than anything in the world.
Awesome. Very cool. And I loved following your Sisters Count. I was getting so much joy from following every single day of the Omer. I got to check in and hear something beautiful, something meaningful and spiritual and uplifting. So thank you.
It was my best and fullest Omer count yet.
Awesome.
I actually counted this year.
Yes. Well, congratulations on setting that whole thing and putting that whole thing together. It's really, really special.
Thanks for having all of us and me.
Thank you. Did they say that? Did you say Beth signed on to this? Or she?
Yeah, Beth is here.
Beth is here? Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I heard that, but I wasn't sure, and I don't see her picture. So, hi, Beth.
Hi.
Hi.
You don't see my picture?
Now I do because you're talking. I didn't see you before.
Hi, I jumped on.
Oh, good. Good.
Here I am.
So glad that you're here.
Yeah, I just love everything I've been hearing. It's good to see everybody. I mean, really, it's awesome. to see your names and your faces, and
Yay.
I'm here at the
Okay,
temple.
okay, well, we know you're here, so that's good. I'm gonna go right back to you. I'm gonna go to Nishama, and then we're gonna go to you.
Okay.
Okay. So nice to see you. Hi, Nishama. Nishama.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
I'm just gonna hold it.
Can everyone hear me? I'm always like not sure. Is it working?
I can hear you.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Hi.
That took a long time, but cool.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there, day to
Oh
day.
yeah. I'm very emotional sitting here. I want to hug every human being on this call. Love you guys so much. I think this is a time I've never appreciated the people that I love as much.
I know what you mean. Totally.
Stay well and strong, and it's beautiful. Thank you for doing this, Tal. That you just
You. And thank you for being part of this. Thank you so much for being here.
of course.
Your presence and your love and your energy is just so special. I love you.
I love you.
And happy anniversary today, right? It's your second anniversary with Menachem, wedding anniversary.
It is.
Congratulations.
Yes, the one that I'm married to. It's like, I think it's funny when you have, it's a second marriage for both of us. Good to differentiate. So yes, it is. It is an amazing. It's 2 years and about 100 lifetimes for us.
Beautiful. And every time I see the pictures of you guys or you singing with each other, there's just so much beauty and light that comes from the two of you. Just radiate love, and it's just good stuff. So yeah, I look forward to the day where I can hang out with you two in person. So, and actually, so we met back in 2007 when I did that workshop of your father's play, the play that Shlomo Carlebach, it was about him. And when I was in that little workshop, and then it went to off Broadway, and that's when I first got to know you through that. And that was a special time that I got to be working with you and singing your dad's music, and it filled my soul for those months that I was a part of that. So that was
You were really, really beautiful. I think it was a gift of my lifetime, really, to get to audition and listen to such incredible, talented Broadway. I mean, it's literally, you guys are on a different level than every other person, and the way you audition and the dancing and this. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the whole panel would be like, "Don't tell them you love them. Don't thank them. Don't say they were beautiful." And I was like, "I love you. You're so beautiful."
I remember that.
I was the problem on the panel. They're like, "You're too emotional. Get out."
Aww.
I so appreciated you. It was very special to be able to watch all of you in the cast really, really feel in that process. And usually I'm not behind the scenes. It was an amazing, almost a decade of my life, really being able to create something with gorgeous, worthy, like people who are just amazing in every way. So thank you for being a part of that.
Of course, thank you. And I got to sing your dad's songs all the time. They were living in my heart, and then have never left. They're just, I love your dad's music, and I just, yeah, it was so. And I always used to go to Carlebach, while I was while I was a student in New York City, and so to be in the show after having those years of going to Carlebach Shul, and it was just so special, the whole experience.
Oh yay, that makes me.
And you've been a mentor to me since, and I feel that we are so honored for you to be with us today, and your reputation precedes you because of your beautiful, soulful voice and your gorgeous songs. And I just can't get over the music that you put out there, and your last CD, Believe. It's just been it's such a beautiful CD. And
actually, now that you're saying Believe, I have the opportunity and the joy of thanking Beth Stiles, who created all that music and produced it, and tirelessly gave her soul to creating that with me. And every time I do a Zoom, I thank Beth, but now she's here. I get to say I love you in person. I love you. I'm so grateful.
How did you guys meet? How did the two of you meet each other?
So we met because of Shira Lissick, who is a soul sister that should definitely
Yeah.
is here with us, in everyone's heart. Also a gorgeous, gorgeous singer. And she and I connected. And then she said, "You got to meet Beth." And so we met. And Beth, I call her the great, she's like the great visionary, the great creator of truth. She is, I'm going to cry talking about Beth. I know you're listening, but Beth convinced me that life was bigger, than what I saw in front of my face. Beth reminded me to have faith at a time where I don't think I had a lot of that. And because Beth believed, in me so much, we created something that gave my life new life. And so I'm glad that you like it. And Beth, thank you so much.
Oh, you're making me tear up a little bit. But, so that's so nice. Beautiful. So, what are you working on anything right now? And during this time, is there anything new coming out?
So I'm, I have done, I had to make a list for, like all reasons. I ended up making this list, and I've done nearly 90 Zoom events since March, which has been pretty extraordinary for me. For everywhere from South America to South Africa, all over this country, I've been able to connect with communities. And so I'm zooming a lot. I'm doing a high holiday gig actually in Florida, so close to my Abby. I could just,
Oh,
I want to hug her so bad, and I'm not
So
going.
close.
I can't. I know. I can't believe it. And that's been really special to be collaborating and creating a moment of renewal at a time where people are really so full of mourning and sorrow. And how do you try to give people faith when you just want to reach through the screen? And yet, doing this in this moment is just, it's incredibly special. So I'm doing this nonstop. I have my two sons with me, and I have my three stepchildren also. So we have five kids here, who are not toddlers. Tal, so you're definitely a hero. Trying our best, and my Menachem is just working around the clock. He has an amazing morning show in the morning. He has like over 1,000 people that come on to see him. He has a woman from Saudi Arabia every morning at 9 a.m. And
wow.
everyone comes on. And it's like he goes online, and like within 30 seconds there's like hundreds of people just watching him and crying. And it is an extraordinary gift to be connecting with people in this way right now. Can I share? I don't know if we have one more second. I'll share a
Yeah.
small,
Yes.
a very, very holy moment that happened in my home, because I think we're all in our various stages up and down emotionally.
Yes.
So Menachem's daughter, my stepdaughter Raya, had a really hard time. Really missing her friends, missing. She's just, it's too much. So she came downstairs one day and she said, "Abba, what day is today?" Because she, I don't know if it's happened to you guys. Is it March? Is it June? Is it? I don't even know
Yeah,
what.
that's happened.
Yeah, and he kissed her on the head because he's that rabbi, and he said, "My love, it's today." And it changed my life in a million ways. I've been telling this story everywhere. I was just kind of eavesdropping, and just, yes, it's today. It is now. It is our moment now. And to not project yourself into the past and not drive yourself crazy about the future if possible. There's just so many gifts that come from that, just that realization, that gratitude. So we're working on staying sane and trying to be present, and just loving all of you guys from afar.
Thank you. No- And staying grateful, right?
Yes.
Which takes me into the next person's interview, Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Nishama. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's so nice the two of you have such a beautiful bond and connection
Yeah.
and collaborating.
I love my Beth.
Yeah. I love you too, my sister. Wow. What an amazing couple of years. Um, Gosh. And look, I can't, it's like, even, I've been doing this now for a couple months, but I can't believe that we're actually doing this, recording, High Holidays. Unbelievable.
You've been doing this all day today, right? Nonstop?
I've been doing this all day today. I've been all day yesterday. I've been at other synagogues taping and, helping them create their services, which has been extraordinary. It's a mountain.
Yeah.
It's way more than I thought it was going to be. It's a big responsibility. A lot of people are counting on it. And then behind those people are all the people.
Right. Exactly.
And I feel it. I'm really, really feeling it deeply. I'm like, I find myself crying every day at some part of the day, but I think it's good for me. I do.
It's good. Releasing.
So,
Good.
yeah.
I find myself getting
exactly.
weepy too a lot during this time. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So I know I just would love to hear a little bit more about your journey and how you, where you're from and how you found
me. Well,
yeah, how you became a beautiful songwriter.
Well, tell me, like, how much time do we?
Yeah, I don't know how much time everybody else has. We
and
went over because I didn't know if you were coming or not, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I could talk next time.
I would love you to share if that's okay with everybody else, and please share because you're here and we want you to share. If anybody has to go, then you can go, but we want you to.
Wait, so ask me again. So you want me to share about?
Just a little bit about your journey and how you became a songwriter. And I know that you have such an incredible bio. I read it and I just want to know you, and I want to know your journey and your path. And
yeah, likewise. Well, it's interesting. It's my life has come full circle. I started off, being raised in an Orthodox home, and I started writing when I was very young, and my life was everything Jewish, religious, yeshiva, shul, my cousins, everything. It was, that was my context of my life. And then I ventured out into the world and went through many different phases and transformations. And I had to sort of figure out who I was and what I was going to do. Along the way, first of all, getting in touch with that I really was a musician or a composer, and trying to figure out how do you do that when you're an Orthodox girl from a sheltered community. And also, then I discovered I was gay, so that was crazy. And I had to figure out how to live and how that was going to happen. So I kind of went out into the desert, right? It's my own kind of galus kind of thing. And I eventually, I have to say, Cantor Debbie Catchgo Gray, who I had worked with, she lives near me in Connecticut. She knew that I was writing this music, and she invited me to bring it and introduce it to the Women's Cantors network. So I agreed to do that, and I came with a book filled with music, and I just sat down and started singing all my songs, and that's how I met Shira Lissick. And she just came up to me, and I knew we were going to be fast friends. And I love her. She kind of changed my life. There are a few women who literally changed my life, and she's one of them. And she said to me, like Neshama said, she goes, "You have to meet Neshama Kabak." And I've secretly wanted to meet Neshama Kabak forever. I feel very connected to her. I always felt connected to you, Neshama, because first of all, I grew up with Kabak music, and I also kind of fell into learning about gospel music and just loved that music. And I was writing it, and I had even worked part-time for a church at some point. And a friend of mine told me that Neshama was doing this kind of music with gospel flavor or something. So I checked it out, and I was really excited about this. And then, so when I got to meet her, it was just, it was kind of crazy that was sort of like a secret thing I was thinking about. and there was no way I was connected to her in any way at that time in my life. So now, so then when I met her, we, it was really a real bond, and we connected musically, and I think that we connected spiritually on a very deep level, and we became very close friends. And I and it just kind of unfolded that we started to write together. She connected with my melodies, and I guess like my soul, like where I was coming from, like how I viewed the world, and we were able to take some of my melodies and even some of my lyrics that I had written and sort of mold them and to become Nishama's voice, and how she expanded. She had ideas and thought of things that I didn't think of myself. And I just went on a whole other journey that I never expected it. I can't even put into words what the whole experience was like to have that come to be real.
Wow.
So I'm very, very grateful.
I'm going to cry, for sure. Thank you. You make me cry.
And your song "Grateful," by the way, is always in my head, like all the time. And it's my 4-year-old's favorite song.
Oh,
she sings it.
that
She'll sing it
is.
at Dallas services with me.
Oh, well, that it never gets old to hear that
song.
It touches somebody. I never expected that song to go anywhere, and in fact, I had presented it to my choir when I have an interfaith choir, and a friend of mine I was working with, we're trying to look for a song to do, and I left it sitting there for like a couple of years. I wasn't going to do it, and then we did it, and it just resonated with people, and it became kind of like a signature song.
Yeah.
And turns out, I think that song, I could sing that song at all kinds of occasions, from like joyful occasions to I sing it at funerals. I sing it, it's true to life every single day. It's just the simplest song, in the whole world. You know what I'm saying? And
the simplest songs are the most beautiful. Sometimes the most simplest songs are like just hit the spot, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And actually, Lori Akers and I are going to record it.
Oh wow!
We plan on recording it. So
we meant to call you today to tell you that first.
I'm so inspired to sing it, and we both wanted it to stream through the live streaming for our high holiday services. We both want to get it into our community. We just want to let you know that.
Oh well, I'm honored. Enjoy.
Your songwriting is magical. Thank you so much. And we are grateful for you, and we're grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. Really, I'm really grateful for all of you.
Thank you. It's so good to meet you.
Great to meet
and
you.
I'm so glad you did this. And I'm glad I was able to pop on for a few minutes.
I'm glad you came on. It was great. So thank you all so much for joining me for this special evening. It was very, 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 it was wonderful to be with all of you and have a sister schmooze. I like that name, Sister Schmooze. And I hope that you all enjoyed it as much as I did. And for those listening into this and tuning in to Talya's show, all of these beautiful artists that you are getting to know this evening, they're all on the internet. Their music is accessible, their videos are accessible, their websites are out there. So I encourage you to do more research and discover them even more. There's just so much beauty out there for you to discover. And so I'm so glad we had this opportunity to get to know all of you in just a little bit of a personal way. And now I can't wait to see and hear all the things that you guys are going to continue to do in this world. So thank you for inspiring me and for being you. So thank you guys.
Thank you. This was
Thank
so
you,
good.
Talia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Sending
Talya.
love to you all.
Thank you.
Love you.
Mwah. Kissing every single one of you.
Mushing all your fingers.
Go. Oh, what happened? All right,
Thank you.
we're over. All right, thank
This
you
is so
much.
sweet.
Yeah, this was fun.
Thank you. L'chaim. Have a good evening, everyone. I'm gonna.
And maybe we'll have some follow up, in a little while.
Yes.
We're all getting like really missing each other, and we need this another schmooze. We can always plan another one.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
so
think
much, Talya.
impromptu.
You.
Thank you so much. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
This was really sweet.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for your time, for your
Thank
love.
you.
Bye.
Bye.